heard any like horror stories, since you're in that industry, of people that have used these, mail order, plastics?
Oh, not only have I heard of it, I've seen those patients. I used to be a practicing orthodontist in New York, and it's really, people always ask me, they're like, you spent 20 years of your life becoming an orthodontist, and now you're starting a tech company. And, how could, like, why? And really, like, it's like, I couldn't stand seeing the world, literally the world being tricked. I say, this is a little bit like the financial crisis. There's a lot of players in the space. No one knows what's happening. No one, like, not even some dentists know. They're like, how is Smile Direct Club doing it? And they don't realize that, there's a lot of marketing out there. There's a lot of cover-ups on the internet. If you check out the Better Business Bureau, there's thousands of complaints. Now, not naming specific mail order liner companies, but they actually make their patients sign NDAs before getting started.
Welcome back to the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. Your host, Olivia here, and today I have one of Business Insider's 7 women to watch. It is my honor to bring you Dr. Ingrid Murra, and she is a mission-driven entrepreneurial leader passionate about democratizing access to confidence and entrepreneurial success for healthcare providers. After graduating from Harvard for her orthodontics degree, she founded Two Front, a free, modern platform for orthodontists to build hybrid practices from unused space at local dental offices, which allows dentists to generate passive income worth up to 25% of their bottom line. She's backed by Craft Ventures, a top venture capital firm that has backed companies including Airbnb, Uber, Tesla, and Instacart, along with leaders in the healthcare industry such as Tom Lee, founder of One Medical. She is also the 48th Latin American female founder to secure over $5 million of venture capital funding in the history of the United States. Definitely check out her links below in the show notes. It's such an awesome honor to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. This is such a pleasure.
So how did you get started in, after you graduated from Harvard, what was like, okay, I'm going to just design this thing?
Yeah, so it actually started a lot earlier. It started pretty much like my first year of residency. So that was 2015 when I started. I had just spent my whole life, honestly, becoming an orthodontist, like the past literally 20 years of my life. I decided to become an orthodontist when I was a kid. I was like 8 years old. And I realized that going to an orthodontist changed my life for the future, for the better. And I had the confidence to smile, which gave me the confidence to kind of pursue everything that I wanted to pursue in life. I was doing better in school. I was making friends. Excuse me. And so then I started a residency and I saw mail order aligner companies launch, which is pretty much, orthodontics in the mail. And I was like, whoa, did I just spend my whole life working for something where I can just be replaced? Long story short, I spent the next couple of months learning about biomechanics, which is the foundation of orthodontics, like how to move teeth healthily, efficiently, using a material, whether it's braces or plastic. And long story short, it was my first foray into basically learning about how marketing can be misused. Marketing dollars can be misused to misconstrue the reality of how something works. So, and at the same time, I was watching the market just expand drastically. I think now 1 in 2 people in the world want to straighten their teeth. That's like a wildly big market, like over 4 billion people. And at the same time, orthodontists are the only people who really should be straightening your teeth. You're going to get the best results, the healthiest results, the quickest results. And what I tell most people is it's not just about straight teeth. It's about beautiful teeth, which is much more about like the width of your smile. It depends on so many different factors. This highly personalized art form. And so that's really where I realized, okay, we have a massive unmatched supply and demand. And we've got to figure out a new way to actually match them because the traditional way of actually putting on braces at an orthodontic clinic is just not working for people anymore. That's old school.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I had braces and I was like, this is so cool. I thought, but I had braces later on. I got braces, and I got them at MUSC, the Medical University of South Carolina. So like their program was different, but I had like an orthodontist and a resident like working on my teeth, and it was like half the price. But yeah, just the constant, I don't know, it was like a 3-year process. But yeah, when you're talking about these mail order in ones, it's like Invisalign. I know a lot of people get Invisalign now because it's more aesthetically pleasing because it's not braces, but Two Front, is that also similar?
Yeah, so Truthfront is we actually use Invisalign. We only work with orthodontists who specialize in moving teeth with plastic as opposed to metal, because all Invisalign is the best company out there when it comes to a tool to actually straighten your teeth. Where we come in is basically anyone with a dental license can actually use Invisalign to straighten your teeth. We only work with orthodontists who specialize in Invisalign. There's some orthodontists out there who haven't learned how to straighten teeth with plastic. And so their specialty is braces. We actually work with those orthodontists who specialize in Invisalign. And so that means that they can treat all typical braces cases with Invisalign. And we give orthodontists the tools to actually build their brand and build their practice from local dental offices by going in once a month and having everything they need to deliver that really high quality patient experience, from your booking experience to your emails, to collecting your insurance, to your checkout process, to your post. Once you actually start your treatment, you can check in with your doctor every 2 weeks and save you up to 90% of virtual visits. So we're actually the operating system for orthodontists to run Invisalign practices from local dental offices, so that they can actually build their brand and build their practice without taking on additional debt, because orthodontists are now $500,000 to $1 million in student debt. And so starting a practice has never been harder than it is now, especially when mail order liner companies are falsely saying you don't need an orthodontist anymore. So
Yeah.
no one knows how to, it's not like a dentist where you can just say, I'm a dentist, and suddenly you have clients. It's harder than ever. And so we really specialize in making sure that orthodontists have the space to see patients. They have patients that have been educated on why you need an orthodontist, and they have all the tools to treat them from beginning to end and provide that high level of quality care.
Now I have such a better understanding. Okay, thank you. Because like, yeah, I understand what some of these things are, but I guess I definitely have these podcasts to like help the normal person understand what industry people are talking about when they're talking about their stuff. But okay, because your smile is so important, especially for female entrepreneurs. Like with personal branding, our personal brands are starting to be more and more important. And having a picture perfect smile is so important. And
So important.
You want to also make a good investment. So if you're, and I see it all the time. I do see these things that are like online to get like nice teeth without orthodontists. I've totally seen that marketing. And they're, have you heard any like horror stories, since you're in that industry, of people that have used these, mail order, plastics?
Oh, not only have I heard of it, I've seen those patients. I used to be a practicing orthodontist in New York, and it's really, people always ask me, they're like, you spent 20 years of your life becoming an orthodontist, and now you're starting a tech company. And, how could, like, why? And really, like, it's like, I couldn't stand seeing the world, literally the world being tricked. I say, this is a little bit like the financial crisis. There's a lot of players in the space. No one knows what's happening. No one, like, not even some dentists know. They're like, how is Smile Direct Club doing it? And they don't realize that, there's a lot of marketing out there. There's a lot of cover-ups on the internet. If you check out the Better Business Bureau, there's thousands of complaints. Now, not naming specific mail order liner companies, but they actually make their patients sign NDAs before getting started, saying if anything goes wrong, and we give you a refund, you can't post anything online. That's how bad our system has gotten. And so really, like, our goal here is like, get it ahead of these patients. We don't want orthodontists treating patients after they've already spent $2,000 and, they can no longer bite, they can no longer eat, they've had a fractured tooth. These are your teeth, which are like so important to your life, to your well-being, to your health, to the rest of your body. And we want to get ahead of it and provide patients right at their dentist. Typically patients trust one person more than anyone else when it comes to their teeth, and that's their dentist. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I invest in going to the dentist. I know a lot of people, they fear going to the dentist. And then I can see exactly, because it's such an intimate thing. And then I can see how it's like, well, you know what, I'll just go to somebody else. The cheaper thing is not always the best option.
No.
And the functionality of your teeth, being able to bite properly, is so important. It's not just about looking good. It really is how the health of your teeth, and not just them looking good. So, oh my goodness, I'm so happy that your company helps with that, because yes, there's a lot of marketing dollars put behind that.
A lot of marketing dollars. Yeah. And it's, we're still super small. We've raised a little bit over $5 million. We're live in 10 dental offices in Los Angeles right now. Our plan is to go nationwide by the end of the year. But really, the way that we see it is if we can really make this happen, we can solve problems for all three parties. We can give patients exactly what they're looking for, which is the confidence to smile, using clear aligners, their most beautiful smile in the shortest time in aligners, affordable payment plans, and a really good patient experience. Those are the things that we're focusing on. We're focusing on creating an incredible experience for the orthodontist, where we say, you don't have to start a brick and mortar clinic anymore. You don't have to take on a $1 million loan. If we can match you with 20 dental offices near you, you go in once a month, you have the ability to see your patients 90% virtual, you essentially have 20 clinics. But brands are built online nowadays. You can build your brand through our platform. You can accumulate reviews. You can treat your patients well, and you can provide that continuity of care that you're looking for. And for dentists, dentists have a massive amount of patients they don't realize that want to straighten their teeth. The average dentist who offers Invisalign treatment, they can typically treat very simple cases. The average Invisalign provider treats one patient a month, even though they're seeing 400 patients a month on average. And the data shows half of them want to straighten their teeth. They just have decision paralysis. So we go to them and we say, this is a passive revenue opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to actually generate a significant portion of your bottom line without having to lift a finger, because we service that essentially growth and operational arm.
Oh man, this is such a cool topic. No, I've always liked the dental field. And you know what? I have a few friends that are dentists. I live on the Illinois side of St. Louis, but
cool.
Yeah. And I've lived a few different places. My husband's in the Air Force, but yeah, no, that is so cool that you do this. And it's not only helping, it's really you, because you're helping two different people. You're helping the client, but you're also helping the dentist. So like going into those marketing, like those meetings, like what has your journey been like, really, going forward with this?
I'll tell you, it's been really hard. When I was an orthodontist, I didn't know anything about business. All I knew is that there was a massive problem. That's all I knew. And it kept me up at night. I couldn't believe I was sitting here learning biomechanics, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt, just like my colleagues. And meanwhile, on the outside of our residency, all these companies were popping up one after the other saying, you don't need an orthodontist, you don't need an orthodontist. And we're sitting here learning in our books 12 hours a day, it's 5,500 hours in total of just orthodontic specialty training after dental school. And we're sitting here just learning how to produce the most beautiful smiles, but no one knows why they need us anymore. And so I was sitting there saying like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? How are we going to solve for this? So it's, I graduated and I was like, all right, how do you start a business? Just like kind of everyone else. But what I tell people is like, just don't be afraid to fail, because you're gonna fail. Like, you're gonna mess up so many times. Start to look at those mistakes as a learning opportunity and think like, oh, wow, awesome. Now I know that that's not going to work. And the second piece is that Google is your number one employee. Everything that you want to know is on Google. Yes, there's a lot of articles out there which aren't ideal. And like, you gotta figure out whose articles you're reading, and you gotta sort through the noise. But in general, like for most topics, you can figure everything out online. And that's really, it's been a slow and steady journey. I graduated in 2018. I decided to raise venture capital then while practicing as an orthodontist 6 days a week, seeing 130 patients a day. I was listening to my podcasts like on the subway in New York, to How I Built This by Guy Raz, to really give me the confidence to know that like I can do this. Started reading up in the evenings, and eventually raised money in 2019. Tom Lee was our very first check, founder of One Medical. We were initially going to take a very similar approach to building a business, learned very quickly that it wasn't going to work for us. And now, a little bit over 2 years later, we just raised our seed round of $3.5 million. So biggest advice is just don't give up, keep going.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's not really many people out there in your industry to like doing exactly what you're doing. So you don't necessarily have the same type of people to like follow a footprint. Although, you do have Tom Lee who has invested in you. So it's like you get that extra mentorship, which has to be huge to help you, especially when it comes to like your connections. Now, what has helped keep you going?
Surrounding myself by people like entrepreneurs. To your point, the mentorship, it's the mentorship from big people like that, it's actually pretty minimal because they're super busy. What I have found is actually really, really important is finding people who are just a little bit ahead of you, so you can learn from them, and like they feel empowered with this knowledge to kind of like help you. And also finding people who are a little bit behind you so that you can feel empowered to like help people beneath you, and like, and really support other entrepreneurs. And so like, it's really being in that mix of always helping people who are a few steps below, and getting the mentorship from people who are a few steps ahead, and like just moving up that way in terms of like, because at every stage you're going to have different questions, like how do you build a financial model? How do you fundraise? Like, how do you build a go-to-market strategy? And I think like finding that support system is literally everything. I would say Google's your number one employee, but that support system is so important.
Thank you for that. Because I guess I always thought that I was reading a book recently on OKRs, objectives and key results. And, I was listening in the book that I was reading about it, they were talking about how some of their founders, funders, angel investors would actually help them with things and giving them direction. But I understand why that would be limited, extremely limited when it comes to, them being extremely busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's funny that you mentioned OKRs. We actually just implemented those 2 weeks ago, and they're super life-changing. I think one of the really hard things about building a business is there's always 1,000 things to do, and staying focused on the right things that are going to move the needle forward is one of the most important things I have found. And so we've implemented these OKRs, which honestly, at first, it just hadn't been intimidating to me. I was like, oh God, how do we do this? But we've kept it super simple. Like, we have one objective for the month. Like, what is our one thing, literally, that we're going to accomplish? And then what are the 3 measurable things that what are the 3 measurable key results? And that's, we have a 10-person company now, and our entire company is rallying around these 3 key results and this one objective. So I think simplifying and keeping it easy is the way to go.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I'm a productivity coach along with this podcast. So like, I help my clients implement those in their lives. and working around those types of things as well. And because each person's, it's different when you're helping people be productive in their lives, especially women. But I love how you've kept going, how you're so driven. What do you think is your driving force?
Thank you. I appreciate that. What is my driving force? I think I've got to attribute part of it to just like being an immigrant, like it didn't come easy. My parents moved here from El Salvador during their civil war in the 1980s. And, I saw that struggle, like learning English, like figuring out how to live here and not having a support system because the rest of our family was in El Salvador. I think that definitely has something to do with it. I also have 4 younger sisters. And so I think also like being the oldest, like, I think there's a little bit of like, okay, like I've got to, no matter what, be that support system for my sisters. Those are the first 2 things that come to mind. And also like, that's like the foundational stuff, but then also like, I just feel like we're solving such a big problem. Like I know how much like confidence affects the human being. It's everything. And especially for people who like are looking to make minimum wage jobs, when I was practicing in New York, like a lot of my clientele were people who made minimum wage jobs. And the studies show like a beautiful smile helps you get a better job. And so it's really impactful. I hate when people are lied to. And I really want to educate the world on why you need an orthodontist and the truth behind clear aligners and how to get results. And I really want to empower, these orthodontists who were told that they were living in this meritocratic environment, like work hard and you'll be able to own a practice and, live the American dream, which frankly is not the American dream anymore. Orthodontists are not able to do this because venture capital dollars have kind of subdued the small business owner and made people think mistakenly that this is the industrial revolution and you don't need them anymore. And so really like, I guess that's a multifactorial answer for what keeps me going. But I do think that like starting a business, like you've got to have a real purpose. Like you really, because it's so hard. Like every day is so hard. You make mistakes every single day. But if you can go to sleep and say like, I'm going to make a difference, like I'm going to make a difference in this world, it'll keep you going.
Okay, so I've noticed something about you. You're extremely driven and so I'm just going to guess this. I'm just throwing this out there. You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I think that's probably right.
So how do you handle the pressure that you put on yourself?
That's a really good question. I actually like didn't handle it for the longest time. I actually like totally ignored it. I was kind of just like, oh, you just suck it up and work hard. That's so not true. You cannot just suck it up and work hard. I actually I go to a coach now who has helped me kind of like figure out balance, and it is life-changing. Let me tell you, like I think I have 2 exercises right now that like are just like everything, in terms of like keeping me balanced and keeping me happy and keeping me like focused. One is yoga vidra. Do you know about yoga vidra meditation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. So I literally started this a couple of days ago. It kicks off your day just like in your body, out of your head. Like it's such an incredible tool that like I'm probably going to live by now. And then the second thing is I learned this tool called box breathing. Do you know what that is?
By Wim Hof.
Box breathing. Oh, I sorry. I actually don't know who it's by. I was just taught this tool.
I think it might be by him. I really think I do a lot of holistic things with my clients as well. So, but yes, that is, and breathing techniques and everything. It's just, okay. That's awesome.
It helps. Like you do it throughout the day. You feel yourself getting stressed because like, I'll give you an example. Like today, like one of our dental partners, like the staff is unhappy because we were bugging them, asking them for a patient's insurance information. That's stressful. It's stressful that we didn't have to deal with like client management and figuring out how to solve the issue. So I just use that tool ahead of calling like our client, and it just helps. It just helps you to kind of stay calm and not let stress like disrupt your nervous system.
And that's huge. That's huge. Managing your stress is so important when, especially the higher up you get. Mental health is so important. It's one of the things that's super important to me. And also with women that are super high achievers that have a lot of pressure on them and that happen to be minorities too. And I say this often, and Gary Vee says it all the time, but like nobody works harder than immigrants, like in this country. And you growing up with an immigrant family, I absolutely like, I love that you shared that. I didn't realize you were first generation as well. So like, that's just super cool. Like I can only imagine the types of things that the different battles that you've had in your life, because everybody has a different story, and you hear Harvard graduate, you hear, oh, they've secured all this funding. Well, then they automatically think that they've had some easy road.
Oh no, that's not the case. No, not at all. That's all surface level.
I love it. I love the authenticity. I appreciate that so much. And I mean, I absolutely, I see why, you are definitely one of the 7 women to watch out for real. Like you're going to do some serious things, in this world. And it's going to be, you're already doing amazing things in the world. And you got to honor yourself for that. And yeah, definitely keep going. I'm so happy that I was able to, get connected with you and help share light onto what you're doing. And I'm just 5-10 years from now, I'm so excited to see where you're going. I followed you on like Instagram and everything. Guys, definitely check the show notes below again to check out what she's doing. And if you have a dentist office near you that could use this service, definitely check her out and suggest her to them.
Thank you. Yeah, I super appreciate the call out. And honestly, not even that, like anyone who like has questions, I have people emailing me all the time. Please email me, because I'm so passionate about people not spending money and not getting what they're looking for. And it's not just spending money, it's putting something on your teeth that's like a major lifestyle change. And for it to not work, it's so devastating. So anyone who has questions, patients, dentists, or orthodontists, please feel free to email me, ingrid@my2friend.com.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Ingrid.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Olivia.